Hello everyone, and welcome to my 16th YouTube video. Tonight I want to talk about an issue that is relatively invisible in the domestic violence community, a community that's already obscure enough to begin with. I'm going to be talking about female batterers and male victims of domestic violence. The phrase domestic violence has nearly become synonymous with violence against women, and it's considered a women's issue. Domestic violence is typically viewed as a dominant man abusing a powerless woman. In actuality, victims and perpetrators of domestic violence come in both genders. Men do make up a percentage of the victims of domestic violence, and there are plenty of women out there who use violence to gain control within their relationship. But there is a difference between a woman who has a controlling personality and women who commit abuse. It's only when a woman becomes threatening or frightening or demanding that the relationship can be categorized as abusive. If a woman starts making demands when she's angry, or throws frequent temper tantrums when she doesn't get her way, or breaks into hysterics, she's more likely to become abusive. In general, any woman who isn't respecting her partner or who tries to control her partner is more likely to become abusive. An abusive woman will actually use many of the same techniques as an abusive man. An abusive woman is usually highly critical. She may be threatening to hurt him, his pets, or his friends and family. She might lie or make accusations of extramarital affairs. She may destroy his property in anger or take his money or possessions. She may refuse to contribute to monthly bills or threaten to leave him. Abusive women may withhold affection or sex. She may prevent him from seeking medical services. She may control where he goes and who he sees. They often spy on their partner by monitoring their phone or internet history or even gas mileage. She may refuse to accept responsibility for her actions. She may threaten to lodge a false complaint against him. She may threaten to take the kids from him. Abusive women are more likely to use the court system to their advantage, more so than an abusive man. Police are more likely to believe that the man is the abusive partner in the relationship, especially if the woman can put on a good act when the police show up on their doorstep. But there are differences between men and women. Abusive men control their partner by using fear of injury, separation, or deprivation. He controls her by threatening her sense of safety and security, and by threatening to take away those things and people that she loves. An abusive woman, on the other hand, is more likely to use shame rather than fear. She'll manipulate a man's perceived ability to be a competent caregiver or spouse or provider. She might often tell him that she could have had someone else, or that the sex was better with her last boyfriend, or that he didn't do a very good job as a father. The funny thing is, it's actually harder to control someone with shame and guilt rather than with fear. People are good at putting things that shame them out of their minds. They simply bury it where it can't hurt them anymore. The result is that the victim becomes sort of numb to the insults because they put up a wall to shield themselves from it emotionally. In my own relationship, whenever we fought, my eyes would sort of glaze over and I would sort of check out emotionally. It literally felt like I was building a wall between myself and the hurtful things that he was saying. So to put it back into context, this is where the stereotype of the cold and numb husband and the nagging wife scenario sort of come into play, because the husband is blocking out the insults that the abusive wife is throwing at him. An abused man is less likely to describe himself as living in fear, though this still does happen. Another difference between men and women is the physically abusive tendencies. Men are more likely to punch or choke or strangle their partners, while women are more likely to kick, slap, shove, bite, or throw stuff. Men are less likely to be physically injured by the abusive partner, and they're also less likely to experience post-separation violence. And unfortunately, there's a huge lack of resources for male victims of domestic violence. Many shelters are exclusively for women and children, and men are actually turned away. This leaves men with very few support systems to turn to. Women victims are more likely to talk to their friends and family about their relationship problems, and they feel more comfortable seeking help from a therapist. Male victims, on the other hand, will usually sit around and talk about their feelings, and they're less likely to open up to a therapist. Society in general seems to believe that violence against men doesn't exist, or that only weak men are abused by women. Many men are too embarrassed to admit to the abuse, and their cases go unreported. Therefore, it's hard to get an accurate statistic on the actual number of men in abusive relationships. Rather than consider themselves as abused, these men will simply say that she's crazy or overly emotional or dramatic. They feel pressure to protect their masculinity in society's eyes. Because women are more commonly seen as victims of domestic violence, it can be hard for the victimized men to get law enforcement or other people in general to believe them when they talk about their abuse. Men face all kinds of skepticism from police and are commonly mistaken as the perpetrator of the violence. Male victimization is not taken seriously in the court system. This can present a significant challenge when it comes to winning custody of shared children. A court system that views men as perpetrators is not likely to grant a man custody rights. So these are just some of the issues surrounding female batterers and male victims. But if you're looking for more information, check out the links below. There's some really good stuff there. So thanks for watching and have a good night.